Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're plunging into a situation that has, well, really gripped Kenya lately. We're looking at politics, human rights, leadership, all coming to a head. Our mission really is to unpack this very controversial government directive, the immediate fallout, and what it all means.
And right at the heart of this deep dive, there's this pretty explosive statement from Kenya's Interior Cabinet Secretary, Kipchumba Murkomen. We're talking about the country's top law enforcement official here. He basically issued a directive ordering police to shoot dead protesters if they try storming police stations.
Shoot dead, wow. That phrasing alone?
Exactly. And what's striking is how fast this ignited alarm bells everywhere, especially, because it seems to directly challenge fundamental rights
Yeah.
actually enshrined in the Kenyan Constitution itself.
Okay, yeah, let's get into that. Because the reaction wasn't small, was it? It was this huge wave of fierce backlash across Kenya.
Fierce is the word.
You had figures like Machako's Deputy Governor Francis Mongangi, a pretty key voice. And he didn't mince words, accused Murkomen straight up of stalking division.
Yeah, and deepening an already, let's face it, volatile situation. He called the statements provocative, and you can see why. It just poured fuel on the fire.
Right, and the political tension was already high.
Absolutely. But it wasn't just political figures, which I think is really interesting here. The religious leaders stepped in very quickly, very forcefully.
Okay, what was their take?
They condemned Murkomen's remarks flat out, called them reckless and dangerous. And they made this really clear, unequivocal moral statement. It is wrong to kill. It is wrong to harm. Simple as that.
That's powerful. It brings in a whole different dimension, doesn't it? That moral authority weighing in.
It really does. It acts as a kind of counterweight, when you have state rhetoric escalating like this.
And they didn't just condemn, did they? They actually called for something else.
Exactly. They called for sobriety from the government side, urged them to stop framing these young protesters as enemies of the state.
Instead of threats, what?
Dialogue? Meaningful dialogue, that was their specific phrase, to actually address the grievances, build peace. It's a call for a totally different approach, really. Conversation over confrontation.
A fundamental shift.
And connecting this, they're clearly pushing for reconciliation here, not more escalation. The church leaders even took the significant step of offering to mediate talks.
Mediate. Between who?
Between the government, the police, and who they call Gen Z demonstrators, which really highlights how urgent they see the need for communication. When things are this tense, you need channels open.
And mentioning Gen Z demonstrators specifically, that feels important too.
It's huge because you're looking at a generation that mobilizes differently, right? Often outside traditional structures, using social media. They have specific grievances, often economic, about taxation, cost of living, and this directive just amplified everything.
Yeah, that dynamic is absolutely critical. It shows this isn't just about one inflammatory statement. We're seeing growing calls now for Murkomen himself to resign.
Yes, those calls are getting louder.
But also, it seems like there's a broader critique bubbling up, aimed at the president, about the kind of people being appointed to these really sensitive, powerful positions.
Precisely. It taps into that deeper question of leadership and, frankly, trust. When key officials seem to prioritize, heavy-handed control over actually building consensus.
It makes people question the whole system, the foundation of governance, really.
You've got it. This isn't just...
So thinking about this, what should you, our listener, take away? This situation in Kenya is a really potent example, isn't it, for any society dealing with that tension between keeping order and protecting basic constitutional rights, freedom of assembly, the right to life.
It's the classic dilemma.
And it really pushes us to ask, what happens when leaders choose control over conversation, especially when facing public anger? The need for genuine dialogue, not just issuing threats, seems, blindingly obvious from this. It makes you think, doesn't it? How do nations build real stability? Is it just through force? Or is it through trust and actually being willing to listen, something to ponder?